My husband used his pest control business to prey on teenage boys, so I showed everyone what kind of pest he really was. Dave was every parent's hero, hiring their teenage sons and sponsoring every little league team in town. Mothers gushed at barbecues about what a mentor he was while I smiled and played the perfect wife. And for 15 years, I thought I had the perfect marriage until I saw the text that changed everything. Dave left his phone charging on our nightstand and a message preview lit up the screen. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Same place as always. My chest tightened as I grabbed his phone, typing in the passcode I'd known for years. The contact just said J, but the messages made my hands shake. Months of texts about meeting at empty houses, about keeping things quiet, about how good it felt to finally have someone who understood. My husband was having an affair. I scrolled through their conversations, finding things that made me sick. Dave had sent explicit photos of himself with messages like, thinking of you, and for your eyes only. Jay responded with fire emojis and, you're so hot, and can't wait to see you Thursday. There were cash withdrawals every week, hotel charges, and texts about meeting at empty houses. One message from Jay said, thanks for today. The money really helps with college. So some young gold digger was bleeding my husband dry while I played the fool at home, but my blood went hot when I read Dave's message from last week. My wife is at her sister's this weekend. Come over. They'd been in my house, in my bed, like I was the one sleeping in someone else's sheets. I didn't cry or scream. Instead, I went to bed that night planning while Dave snored beside me, unaware his perfect life was about to crumble. The next morning, I kissed him goodbye and watched him leave for a big commercial job across town. Then I called Stan from the rival pest control company, the one who'd been losing contracts to Dave for years. We met at a coffee shop where I explained that Dave was having an affair and I wanted revenge. I need bed bugs, I told him steadily. Lots of them. Stan's eyes lit up with understanding. For the man who undercut my prices and stole my clients? Consider it my pleasure. He handed me a container the next day. These multiply fast. He's about to regret cheating on you. I went home and packed everything I wanted to keep in my car. Then I methodically planted bed bugs everywhere I imagined Dave and his mistress had been. Our bed got the heaviest dose because the thought of them there made me sick. The couch where we used to watch movies, the guest room he'd been fixing up, even his precious home office where he probably texted her while I cooked dinner. If he wanted to screw around in my house, he could deal with the consequences. While I was planting the bugs in his office, I bumped his mouse and the screen lit up. It wasn't locked. I figured maybe I could find more proof of the affair, something solid for the divorce. So I opened his messages and searched for Jay. What popped up made my blood run cold. Jay wasn't a woman. It was Johnson, the 18-year-old boy who'd been Dave's favorite employee for the past 3 years. My hands trembled as I read their text exchanges with new understanding. Can't wait to see you tomorrow took on a sickening new meaning. The explicit photos Dave had sent to what he thought was a willing affair partner were actually sent to a teenage boy he'd been grooming. Those flirty responses I'd read weren't from some college temptress, but from a kid trying to keep his job. The money for college wasn't gold digging, but something much worse. I kept reading, unable to stop even as my stomach churned. Years of messages showing how Dave had groomed this kid starting when Johnson was barely 17. You looked good working shirtless today, worth the extra $200. The payments weren't bonuses but hush money disguised as legitimate wages. $500 for attic inspection, $800 for special inventory, all carefully documented while Dave took this boy to empty houses, away from cameras and witnesses. But then I found out Johnson wasn't the only one. I found similar conversations with other boys who'd worked for Dave. The Martinez kid who'd quit suddenly last year, the Chen boy whose family moved away without explanation, 6 boys over 5 years, and most had similar message threads that started professional and gradually became predatory. Some had sent messages begging him to stop. Please, Mr. Dave, I just need this job for college money. Others simply stopped responding. 3 boys had vanished entirely with their families leaving town, in what I now understood wasn't coincidence but escape. My hands shook as I